Hello, my name's Jamie Brown, and welcome to the Great Geordie Songbook. The Great Geordie Songbook, Episode 4, The Water of Tyne. Yes, welcome back for another episode of the Great Geordie Songbook. This week we're going for a little bit of a change of pace, and we're moving from that golden era of Tyneside Music Hall to something truly traditional and what is arguably the most well-known Northumbrian or Geordie song, The Water of Tyne. Also referred to as the Waters of Tyne or Waters of Tyne, or I've even seen it referred to as Waters of the Tyne. I don't know, watery McTyneface. As long as it's got the word water and Tyne in it, then you're alright by me. That's not what this particular channel is about. But yes, we have moved on from some of the so-called Tyneside Golden Era classics. Some people might be sat there thinking that the Bladen Races is actually the most popular Geordie song, especially if you are of a sporting inclination. But let me tell you, having looked, that whilst there might be 100 recorded versions of the Bladen Races, there are approximately 3.7 million recorded versions of The Water of Tyne. I mean, honestly, this is a different league. Because it was taught in schools, it's taught in choirs, and it has such a universal story and a universal appeal. It's about the human experience, that sense of longing and separation, whether that's physically or spiritually or emotionally, and I think everybody can just identify with that. Last week we looked at something satirical and political, and this week we're looking at something intensely personal that wasn't about the time specifically and the area that it was set. Unless, of course, The Water of Tyne was, in fact, the original protest song, and it was a protest for more bridges along the Tyne. It's like, oh, where is the boatman? Bring him to me. Howare, man, I canna get to me love if I would dee. Build us some bridges, will you? Who knows?
Oh, Geordie, what's the crack?
So the specific origin of the Water of Tyne is relatively unknown, but we do know that it was collected by John Bell in 1810 and first published in 1812. Interestingly though, it was only the lyrics that were published at the time without any suggested tune. It was only much later in the 1880s and 90s that it was published with music. So there's obviously a little question mark over whether the version that John Bell collected and the latter, the 80s and 90s versions, such as the one collected by Mr. Stoko from an old man in Hexham, there's a bit of a debate as to whether those are one and the same. They might be similar, they might be completely different. Chances are they're very similar, but they might not necessarily be exactly the same. This so-called old man from Hexham recalls the song appearing in many songbooks as early as 1793, but some scholars believe it was even earlier than that in the 1600s because of the dialect that was being used, and that's a hot topic for debate and one that's notoriously hard to get any clarity on. What is also a hot topic for debate is the words and the dialect used, whether it's cannot or canny or honey or hinny, and the list goes on. The earliest recorded versions opt for cannot and honey, but who's to say that they weren't neutralised when they were collected? Some people claim to have absolute authority and be very Puritan about the subject, but it's really not that simple. Not that it stops people, because I've seen things on YouTube where people are lambasted for singing one version or another, and to me that just kills the joy and the spirit of what folk is, and it's not going to draw any more attention and do any favours in keeping these songs alive and giving them a broader appeal. There's comments like, oh, you should be singing hinny, not honey, but then there's an instance where honey needs to rhyme with money, and then you need to do it in the dialect, and then some people are misquoting the Scottish version, and it's a bit of a mess. But yes, sing what you like, just keep it alive, and it's a lovely tune, just sing it, whatever you do.
But what's it about?
So The Water of Tyne is sung from the perspective of a lover who is stranded on one bank of the River Tyne, and their paramour is on the other side, and there is no ferryman to get them across. Now, the River Tyne functions here as a physical obstacle, also a metaphorical one, and gives this sense of isolation and longing, and also draws attention to how isolated and wild Northumbria was at the time. There's a great book called The Northumbrians, which I think is by Dan Jackson. I could be making that up, but I will correct myself if I'm wrong. That talks about this idea of being in between England and Scotland for so many centuries. Whatever the reason, it's so evocative. Emotionally, people can be far apart. Physically, they can be far apart. Spiritually, they can be far apart. But everyone can relate to that sense of longing for something, and there's something about standing at a body of water looking out that as human beings makes us long for what we no longer have, something that's just out of reach or altogether unreachable. In later years, I've started thinking about my dad in those moments. I lost my dad last year, and that sense of putting things in perspective, these vast bodies of water. I directed a musical called Geordie the Musical at the Customs House, which is a bit of a songbook musical of Tyneside songs. It was a great success, and in that there was a couple, and they sang the waters of Tyne. They were a husband and wife, and although they weren't physically separated, emotionally in that moment they were miles apart, and they just couldn't connect with one another, and it was hugely evocative, and it just pays testament to the tune itself and the genius of it, in that it can relate to a physical distance or just that longing for something that's out of reach, if that's spiritual or emotional. We know very little else about the song, really, other than that Michael Hunter, in a sleeve of Tyneside songs, a collection that he did, he said that it might refer to Horton Castle, which is in Hexham. I'm not sure if that's verifiable. I haven't been able to find that out. Maybe you know and could drop me some more information in the comments. All I can say is that that version would tie in nicely from hearing the song from the old man in Hexham, but whether that has anything to do with anything, I've got no idea.
Well, let's hear it then.
Right then, so as ever, what we're going to do now is I've typed the Water of Tyne into a music search engine, and we are going to listen to some different versions that have been inspired by those original lyrics that we were talking about those centuries ago, which is always something that I enjoy doing. I will put my hand up at this point and say that sometimes I find that because of the nature of folk music and traditional music, that sometimes recorded versions are a bit overproduced or over-instrumentalised or over-sung for my taste, but that's not what this section is about. This is to see what has been inspired by those original versions, and everybody has their own artistic aims and inspirations and goals. So yes, I'm very much looking forward to not looking at them through a critical eye, but to see what they've taken forward and how they've put their own spin on it. So without any more ado, let's first look at this version by Catherine Tickell and Hannah Rickard. Catherine's a fantastic musician. Hannah's a great singer. I have heard this version before. Lovely little bit of guitar.
I cannot get to
lovely pure voice. Me love. A little bit of Northumbrian dialect.
Between him and me,
little trill in the voice there.
And here I must stand with a tear in my eye, both sighing and sickly, me sweetheart to see.
Lovely. Okay, so a lovely pure vocal there. A little bit of push and pull with the rhythm of it, which it gives a sense of ownership of it, and this is very much their version of The Water of Tyne, which is fantastic. Using me love and me sweetheart, but not the full sort of Northumbrian brogue and dialect, not heavily leaning into that, which is also absolutely fine. I think that's the evolution of music and language and about people taking ownership of it and makes it something living and not something that belongs in a museum, which is all well and good for archivists. But yes, let's keep that alive. So a lovely version to start with there. There are so many versions of this, so we are going to whistle through them a little bit. The next version is Keith Davison, Mike Waller, Tom Worth, and little Billy Fane. I believe this one has a little bit of an introduction on the pipes, maybe the Northumbrian pipes. There we go. Paints a picture already, doesn't it, of open space and pre-industrialisation. You can almost see a low-lying mist over the Tyne, somewhere up the river. Beautiful. Let's see what the vocal has to offer.
I cannot get to my love.
There's a rustic, raw edge to it.
For the water of Tyne runs between her and me.
Vibrato that gives it that
and here I must stand with
traditional
a tear in my
Northumbrian vibe.
Both sighing and sickly, my true love to see.
Lovely. Okay, so yes, if you haven't heard all of that one, it's a beautiful version. It's quite different to the other version because you get the sense that it's not a young lover. This is somebody who is a little bit older, still that longing sense. Probably gives an explanation why they've changed sweetheart to true love. And that instantly seems to give it more age. The guitar of the first version gives it that sort of undulating sound that you might expect from the river, and this one has got the traditional Northumbrian pipes, I assume, as the accompaniment, which gives that idea of open space and rural life, and yeah, beautiful. The next version is, we're looking at the Royal Northern Sinfonia and Alex Glasgow, who's become a bit of a mainstay of our versions section. Such was his enthusiasm for these songs. So we've got strings. Okay, so we're in more of a ballad sort of sphere. Tyne. It's got a lot of bottom jaw in it.
And here I must stand with a tear in my eye, both sighing and sickly, my sweetheart to see.
Okay, so this is leaning into the ballad quality of it. There's a fragility in the voice, but is being sung almost sweetly compared to the one that we just heard. And there's a lot of, and Alex has this a lot, there's quite a lot of yearning and a lot of bottom jaw in the way that he sings, which gives it that longing, love, and you know, you've got a lot of that Northumbrian timbre and some of those vowel sounds coming through. Yeah. It's a lovely version, and it's got that same longing, but very different to that both versions that we've had so far. So the next version, we've got Water of Tyne, Chris Lawrence, Dave Hartley, Catherine Tickell, Jimmy Nail, and Sting.
I cannot get to
This version's so abrupt to start with. It's almost calling out.
The water of Tyne runs between her
Angsty,
and me.
stingy, if you will.
And here I must stand with a tear in my eye.
Yeah, it's like crying out across the water.
Both sighing
And then Jimmy comes in,
and sickly,
counter melody
my
over the top.
sweetheart to see.
I think they repeat this first verse again. I will play it because I think there's something beautiful about it.
I cannot get to
In the sense that it's the first one we've heard sung by two people. And you can imagine two people on opposite shores separated, almost singing it across the water, but no way of getting there.
here I must stand with a tear in my eye.
Jimmy's got such a ridiculous voice when it comes to those higher.
Both sighing and sickly, my sweetheart to see.
Lovely, and we've got a bit of the pipes just came in towards the end there as well. I don't know if you could hear that through the video, but yes, another lovely version. That longing and that idea of two people singing the song at the same time but still not being able to reach each other is really evocative. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at a couple more. We're going to look at this Unthanks version. The Unthanks, I don't think we've done any of their versions so far. But it's coming in now. There is a little bit of sort of environmental sound there. I don't know if this guitar section was recorded live, but we've got birds, we've got water, and we've got a take on the melody. Again, using the guitar to give that sort of undulating feel to it. And it does take a little while for the vocal to come in, but when it does come in, it's a nice contrast to the ones we've heard so far.
I cannot get to mind of the fine deed.
That's a little staccato-ness almost.
Between him and me, and here I must stand with a
It's got a lightness and a brightness to it that some of the others don't.
sighing and sickly, my sweetheart to see. Oh, where is the boatman, my bonny?
And so it goes on.
Oh, where is
So one of the things about this one is it has an innocence about it, a lightness, and that's shown in almost a youthful lilt that it has. I don't like to say quirky because I think it's a bit overused these days, but it does have a lightness of touch and a slightly staccato lilt to it, and that does give it a youthfulness and a longingness in a different way. Now this is probably the last one that we're going to look at. It's by Ruth Notman, which is a version that I know. It's a nice version. It has an epic introduction, which I was not expecting the first time I heard it. Mystery, openness, panpipes. Again, you get this picture of wilderness. It reminds me of Northumberland, but then it also has that sort of Native American sort of... It's a beautiful natural sound though, those pipes.
I cannot get to my love if I were dead.
Trilling.
The water of time runs between him and me.
Pure, controlled, lovely voice.
And here I stand with a tear in my eye, both sighing sickly, my true love to say.
Nice, okay, so take it down to a little bit of a minor at the end there as well, which is nice and evocative and interesting, and how it gives that bolsters that melancholy tone to it. Again, lots of play with the tune and getting from one note to another and the rhythm, and again just taking ownership. This is my version of The Water of Tyne, which is I'm absolutely open to. So I'm going to put a special mention on here for this version by Judy Dinning. Now this is the studio recorded version, so let's listen to that. We've got also John Dickinson, Neil Harland, Pete Scott and Judy Dinning singing the song, which is a gorgeous version as well, and she's got a beautiful voice. Again, that undulating guitar. Straining and sliding. It gives that yearning as well, that slide. And I believe it goes into a build.
I cannot get to my love if I would dare.
There's a warmth to it.
Water of Tyne runs between him and me.
Beautiful.
And here I must stand with a tear in my eye. Oh, sighing and sickly, my sweetheart to see.
Yeah, there's a lovely gravity to Judy's voice, and there's a brilliant version where she's just sat on a couch playing it on the guitar. And there are some days where I think it would be lovely just to be sat on that couch listening to it. Another notable version belongs to Bob Fox, who has an effortlessness about his guitar playing and the vocal. And I've not been able to track down the recorded version, although I do feel like I have, I've heard it before. But there are videos on YouTube, usually of him segueing from the water of Tyne into Big River, which is beautiful, has this warm, conversational, balladeering tone, which is just beautiful as well. So you got to give that a notable mention.
Just shut up and sing the song, man, will you?
Right, so what we're going to do now, in the spirit of the Great Geordie Songbook, is I am going to do my version. It's not a song that I sing. I'm just going to sing a section for you. It's not really in my wheelhouse. I'm more comfortable with satirical, political, sort of music hall type stuff, or protest things, something of that genre. But it's a beautiful song, and in the spirit of what we're doing, this is a little section from it. So here is The Water of Tyne. I cannot get to my love if I would dare. The water of Tyne runs between her and me. So here I must stand with a tear in my eye, both sighing and sickly, my sweetheart to see. Oh, bring me a boat, man, I'll give any money, and you for your trouble rewarded shall be, to ferry me over the Tyne to my hinny, or scull her across the rough river to me. For I cannot get to my love if I would dare. Thank you. So that was a really raw, sort of unpolished version. It's not something that I practice a lot, and it's not a song that I know particularly well from a performance perspective. But I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Great Geordie Songbook. And yes, we're going to move on to something else next week. We're probably going to look at Tommy Armstrong and move into that area of Pitman poets, which is equally fascinating. So do join us for that. In the meantime, if you have enjoyed what you've seen, then give it a like, give it a share, give it a follow. It all helps us continue what we are doing. And yes, in the meantime, gan canny. Ta-ra.
We hope that you've enjoyed this episode of the Great Geordie Songbook. If you have done, then please spread the word. We are at Great Geordie Songbook on all social media, and if you are in a position to donate towards the continuation of what we're doing, then you will find out information about how to do so on those channels. Gan canny.